Truth Be Told Codex, The Watchers, Episode 1. Before the flood, before the giants, before the blood of the earth cried out, there was a time of quiet. There were no kings, no temples of stone, no boundaries drawn in blood. A man's wealth was measured in sons and daughters. A woman's honor was her loom and her hearth fire. And when night fell, they did not fear the dark, for the stars themselves were a covenant placed there by the Ancient of Days to mark the seasons and guide the faithful. The earth yielded its fruit, and the seasons turned in faithful rhythm. This was the inheritance of the sons of men, before the watching eyes turned from their post. And then he came, not as a conqueror, not as a king, but as a shadow with a whisper. The watchers had sent their scout, a silent herald of the coming storm. He did not raise a sword. He did not speak. He only observed. And where he walked, the hearts of men began to turn. For high above the world of men, in the courts of the eternal, there were watchers. Holy ones, sons of God stationed at the boundaries between heaven and earth.
The rain's getting heavier. Let's get inside. Aye, settle by the fire.
Their task was sacred. Observe, but do not touch. Guard, but do not interfere. Love the creation, but from a distance.
The wind's picking up.
But love is a fire, and distance is kindling. Long before the shadow appeared on the ridge, long before any man saw him, he was coming. For 3 days he had walked across the empty places between the mountains, and not one bird sang as he passed. Not one blade of grass stood upright after his foot had left it. He did not hurry. He had all the time in creation. He was the first of the watchers to set foot on the earth. Not a king, not a warrior, a scout who had stood on the edge of heaven for 100 generations looking down. And the thing he carried with him, heavier than any sword, was desire. The first forbidden want that had ever entered the world.
I know.
Enoch walked among them, the 7th generation from Adam, a scribe, a prophet, a man who spoke with God as a friend speaks to a friend. The book of Enoch tells us he was a righteous man whose eyes were opened by God and who saw the vision of the Holy One in the heavens, which the angel showed me, 1 Enoch 1:2. But even he did not yet know what was stirring in the heavens above. The scout did not need to stay to leave his mark. His shadow seeped into the city's bones. Where once men forged ploughs to feed their neighbours, they now beat iron into blades sharp enough to split flesh. Where women wove cloth to clothe their children, they mixed ochre and ash into paints to adorn their faces, not for joy, but to lure, to dominate. This was not random. The book of Enoch, in its 8th chapter, names the corruption explicitly. Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and he showed them the ornaments of gold and silver, and the art of making them, and the dyeing of wool of many colours, and the making of cosmetics, and the use of antimony to beautify the eyelids. 1 Enoch 8, 1-2. The scout was the first drop of poison. Now the well was turning black. Then he stepped forward, Samjaza, their leader, the one who had dared to whisper the first forbidden thought. The watchers bowed, their voices a chorus of praise that shook the mountain. Samjaza, our guide, lead us to the daughters of men, they chanted. And he did. He led them down the mountain slopes, his gaze fixed on the city below like a hunter on his prey. The book of Enoch records the chaos, and there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in their ways, and they shed much blood on the earth. 1 Enoch 8:3. The city streets, once filled with laughter, now echoed with screams. Markets turned to battlefields. Homes burned. The earth itself seemed to weep, its rivers running murky with ash and blood. The city did not fall in a day. It rotted, from the inside out. The men who had once shared bread now shared blades. The women who had once sung lullabies now sang curses. The children who had once played in the fields now played with fire. The book of Enoch says, "And the whole earth was corrupted through the works that were taught by Azazel. To him ascribe all sin." 1 Enoch 10:8. But this was not Azazel's sin alone. This was the sin of all who listened, all who learned. And then there was Enoch, the seventh from Adam, the scribe of righteousness, a man who walked with God. The book of Enoch tells us, "And I, Enoch, was blessing the Lord of majesty and the King of the ages, and lo, the watchers called me Enoch the scribe, and said to me, Enoch, thou scribe of righteousness, go, declare to the watchers of the heaven who have left the high heaven, the holy eternal place." 1 Enoch 12:3-4. He did not know if they would listen. He did not know if it would matter. But he wrote, because the world was burning, and someone had to remember why.